So when I started this company in 1985, of course, disaster management was not big business. But I started it because I was involved in floodplain management and hurricane evacuation planning for Louisiana, for the New Orleans area. And it involved using a lot of technology like slosh models from the National Hurricane Center, sociological models to see if people would leave, and traffic engineering models to figure out how long it would take to evacuate people. And I really liked that nexus of technology to solve a real challenge and a real problem. It required interdisciplinary thinking, that you had to think sociologically, you had to think from a traffic point of view, you had to think from a vulnerability point of view. So it required a lot of different facets, and I like those kind of puzzles that need to be solved. So I started the company so that I could work on an interesting puzzle to solve for people. So I think I would pick the first thing that really helped us become a serious company. And that was, we had worked on a project with Westinghouse looking at chemical preparedness, because Bhopal, which was a major industrial accident that happened in India, had killed about 2,500 people and maimed thousands of people. So there was a lot of concern. Congress passed legislation, and we developed a piece of software for them, for Westinghouse, that was installed in several different parishes in Louisiana. And through that effort, we came to the attention of the Director of Emergency Management, one of the very few women in emergency management at that time. Her name was Myra Lee. She's still there, lives in Oregon. And she contacted me and she said, we are working on chemical weapons preparedness, and could you please show me what you've done with this piece of software? And that led to IEM's involvement with the chemical weapons program. We worked on that for over 30 years. Very proud of the fact that we worked almost from the start of the program to the point that the last munition was safely destroyed without any loss of life in that program. So that was a major milestone achievement for us. The first one I've mentioned before, that when we became involved with the Chemical Stockpile Emergency Preparedness Program, CSEP, that was a pretty important thing. This program covered 10 states and 44 counties, and it involved 8 Army installations. So immediately we were catapulted into this complex program that had billions of dollars involved. It was Homeland Security, but that term was not invented yet, because this was in 1992. And nobody was talking about Homeland Security, but we got a chance to develop some of the most important technologies, some of the most important solutions, and we got to work across the country with these states and counties directly, as well as with the Army. So that was very seminal for us. The second, I think, most important thing that happened in our history was that in 2004, we were selected to do catastrophic planning for the United States. Before that, there had not been a contract of this kind. Right off the bat, this was a FEMA contract. They tasked us to look at hurricanes in the New Orleans area. So at their behest, we created a simulated hurricane, which we call Hurricane Pam. And it was a storm that was almost like a storm that had occurred a couple of years before, that was expected to be the big one. We took that, which was Hurricane Georges, and made the track more damaging, as well as put more rainfall into the model, working with the National Hurricane Center. And we created this hypothetical storm called Pam. Well, next year in 2005, it actually happened, the same storm, which was Hurricane Katrina. And it was the most devastating natural disaster the United States has had for a very long time. We came to the attention of the Senate and the House and the media and everybody under the sun, because we had done this Hurricane Pam exercise. And our predictions of what would happen were a scientific bullseye. So the question became, when it was so well predicted, why was it not better managed? And that event, catastrophic as it was, 1,700 lives were lost, actually resulted in people being aware of this company and what we had done. And I think that put us in a different strata of disaster management companies. So I think our name, Innovative Emergency Management, I named it this way because I thought emergency management needed more innovation. And I think that part of the core of IEM remains strong today. We try to come up with innovative solutions. If you do the same old, you can't expect different results. And if you want better results, you have to come up with a better plan of how you can accomplish those. So innovation, I think, is at the root of it. I think also collaboration. We've always been a collaborative company, never stood on titles. Everybody called me by my first name. Double PhDs that came from prestigious universities were called by their first name, and everybody felt that they had a seat at the table and that they could voice their opinions. And that, I think, has continued to be true, that we have these teams that are composed of people coming from different walks of life and different degrees, different expertise, and then they collaborate together to produce what they produce. Today, what IEM is, what IEM was before, I think that a lot of it is still the same. I think what has changed now is when we first started and I was hiring the first few employees, nobody knew of this company. It was a very small company, so there was a risk in taking a job with a company that size. I'm so grateful that people opted to do that and join us. And a lot of times the people that we hired at that time were smart people, energetic people, people that wanted to accomplish something, but they didn't have a background in disaster management. Now we can afford to hire the best and the brightest, and so we look across the entire country and say, who's the best in this field? Can we ask them to come and join us at IEM? And that's a great privilege, and I'm very grateful for that. So I think one of the funny things about IEM is that we had all these proposals to do, right? And so we'd stay there, I'd stay at the office for long, long hours, many times overnight. And so you're working, and 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, your body is just like, okay, I can't take it anymore. I need to get some sleep. And we had a box that the proposal team had, which had toys in it, big, funny toys in there that people could amuse themselves with. You know, this screaming monkey was one of them, where you could throw it across the room and it would scream at you. and there'd be, maybe some blankets and some pillows and stuff. So quite often I'd find myself sleeping under my desk. So I just get a blanket and just lay down for a little while, a couple of hours of sleep, and then you can get back at it again. So that was one of the funny things that we used to do. Let me give you another funny one. So because of our background of looking at science and technology, et cetera, we had these awards that we gave to the teams that had done exemplary work. So they'd get a lab coat and with their name stitched on and a logo for the project that they worked on. The next time another team won and they were on it, they get a logo to put it on their white coat. So a lot of times people in the summer in Baton Rouge, it's pretty hot. People would be wearing shorts and flip-flops, and they'd have the lab coat on, and we had the building management ask us, are those people wearing clothes inside that coat, or are they in their birthday suit underneath that? But that was one of the things that we used to do, where people were very proud of the coat, and if they had 4 or 5 patches, that really told you the meritocracy, that, I was on 5 teams that received this award. I think this is the thing that I'm most proud of, what is the impact that we've had across the nation. Since Hurricane Katrina, we've been involved in practically every major disaster. We have so far helped to house over 150,000 people from the various disasters that they've been subjected to. And any of us that have had the power go out for 4 or 5 hours, or have to leave our home for 2 or 3 days, understand how difficult it is for people when they're in the middle of a disaster and they had their home flooded, or a storm has blown off the roof, to be back under a roof and back under a home. I think that's one of the key things that I can look back on and say this is something that's very valuable. Second thing that we did a lot of work after the anthrax attacks in 2001. And we did a lot of work for the Health and Human Services Agency. And some of the work that we did was looking at, if there is an attack using biological weapons on the US homeland, what would be done? And one of those papers was published when the pandemic occurred. we were contacted by a reporter. Eventually, he wrote a piece in Time magazine that said that the people in South Korea found that paper, read it, and they designed their COVID testing program based on our methodology. And he estimated that several tens of thousands of people were saved in South Korea because of the work that had been done. So I think when you touch the core of IEM, you touch the heart of survivors, because that is what animates us. How can we serve that person who is having the worst time of their lives? And how can we help them recover? How can we help them stabilize? How can we better prepare them for the contingencies that are coming? And how can we help to make a community resilient? And so I think that the impact that we've had as a company is measured in the lives that we have assisted. Well, every company believes that they are doing good. I think most of us are here to do good. As I say, do good and do good business at the same time. You know, that's not counterintuitive. It's not in conflict with each other. But I think what sets us apart is a focus on results. So you can do the right things. You can do the things that need to be done, but they may or may not produce the results. So you have to keep on watching and saying, am I making a difference? If we're not making a difference, we need to change up what we are doing, how we are doing it, what the team composition is like, so that we can produce those results. So if there's a central focus, I think it's outcomes that distinguishes us from other people. The second thing I would say is this. I don't often say it, but it's a woman-founded company, and empathy is really important. And I think that you have to understand and empathize with the people that are going through a disaster and the officials that are trying to help them recover from a disaster. So keeping that focus in mind that says, this may be just another project for us, but it is not just another project for the people whose lives we are touching. And having empathy for them, they're not just a number. They are real people who are going through a real crisis. I think I would have to go back to Katrina for a really meaningful incident that happened. So the company was headquartered in Baton Rouge at that time. We did not know it, but all our cell phones were connected to New Orleans. And so when New Orleans went down, our cell phones went down. So I was just carrying around a cell phone that didn't work. It was just dead. And then a few days later, suddenly it rang. It's like, my goodness, this piece of technology is still alive. And it was somebody from FEMA, and he said, is this Madhu? I said, yes. He said, I need planners on the Iwo Jima, which was a ship berthed in the harbor in New Orleans. He said, I need you to send planners over there. They better be ready to rough it, because we can't tell you that we're going to have beds ready for them or anything. I don't know how long we need them for, and I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. And so I said, okay, can you at least give us some way to get through the police cordon that was around New Orleans at that time? He said, no, I can't give you anything. You just need to send these people over. So we had to commandeer SUVs, which were in short supply after Katrina, get flak vests for the people so that they'd be safe, and they went with their sleeping bag and laptop and everything else and headed over to the Iwo Jima, and they stayed there for several months assisting in the planning effort post-Katrina. But that's a good example of what our people are willing to do, and we had no shortage of volunteers who wanted to go. We had to pick and choose who we could send, but there were many more people who wanted to go. Well, IEM has been the sandbox in which I have played for almost 40 years. So I read a news story and I think of how it relates to IEM. I read a journal article and I think, okay, is this something we could adopt here? I read a book, I think, okay, this is something I can do here. So it has been its central focus of my intellectual life. So it's very important. It's the lens through which I've viewed the world. If you focus on the customer, everything else is less important. A lot of times people say it's all about the employees, it's all about the culture, it's all about the teamwork. Really, it's about the customer. You don't have a business unless you have a customer. I could do something all day long, but if I don't have a customer for it, it's not a business. So I think it's focusing on the customer and their needs and their desires and their fears. It's being aware of what it is that they want to accomplish, what are their hopes and what are their fears, and designing and running the programs for them or supporting them in a way that they can realize and actualize their hopes and avoid the things that they are fearful about. If I had to sum up in one word what IEM has accomplished, I would say it's outcomes. And it's making sure that we have produced the results that our customers hope that we would produce for them, whether it's the agency that funded the actual effort or the agency that managed the funds, or it's the survivor who is trying to recover from the disaster. It's producing results for all of those people along that chain. And it's a chain of continuity of caring for them, caring for each one of those that makes the difference. The future of IEM is very bright. I mean, when I started the company in 1985, I never thought that there would be billions and billions of dollars being spent, or that you would have millions of people at the same time across the country that would need disaster management services. But it is apparent that really since 2005, when Katrina, Rita, Wilma, a lot of storms occurred, and then going on to Hurricane Sandy in 2012, I think, and then the slew of hurricanes in 2017, we had Harvey, Irma, Maria. It just goes on. And I think that we just are subject to a lot of disasters, hurricanes, storms, floods, wildfires, earthquakes every now and then. And I think that government has realized that when somebody needs a helping hand, the last hand that's available to them is the government itself. And I think that for that reason, I think there's a lot of work to be done in this field. And I think that we are well poised to do the work for the future. I think that although we have people that have stayed with us for long periods of time, I don't think that the current crop of people is going to be there at the 40th year mark in the future. However, our culture exists and survives, and people come and go. They add to it. They don't detract from it. They are there, and I think that just as long as we keep our focus on the customer, and the biggest of those customers is the survivor, I think we would do well and thrive.